Well, hello all. I don't know what time it is where you're at right now, so I'll just say good morning. My name is Mike at Filmboy24, and today we're going to talk about the viability of Kodachrome II, specifically in the 8mm format, or double 8, or regular 8, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to see if we can actually use it in our everyday film lives today. Kodachrome II. That's what we're going to talk about today, and whether or not you can still use it in today's world. Kodachrome II is old. It was really replaced by Kodachrome 40 in around 1974, for all intents and purposes. And Kodachrome 40 was a faster speed film. It was a better all-around film. Kodachrome 2, don't get me wrong, was a beautifully saturated color film. The colors were gorgeous. And I still wish we had the process today, but unfortunately we can only do it in black and white in this day and age. You see it all the time. That's what you see when you search for 8mm film stock on eBay or any of the online places where you might buy your old outdated movie film. If you're looking specifically for 8mm film and you're not buying it from like FPP or somewhere where you can buy new stock that's been respooled, then you're likely to just find old Kodachrome. And it's plentiful still, and it came in a couple of different ways. It was packaged a couple different ways. What I shot yesterday or 2 days ago in my Bolex B8L was the Kodachrome II, this particular roll right here, in roll form. Roll form was simply that. It was on a roll. Whoa, settle down. It was on a roll. Very similar to this. This is a daylight spool, and we're not going to get into a whole lot of detail of the ins and outs of the 8mm format. I just want to talk a little bit about Kodachrome. But this is how it came. It is 16mm wide. All 8mm film started at 16mm wide. And I'm not saying Super 8, I'm saying 8mm film, because Super 8 is cut from 35mm film. 8mm film is perforated exactly the same as 16mm, only twice as many perfs. So if you were to hold this up to 16mm film, you will notice that every other perforation in this roll is going to match every perforation in 16mm. And what you did is you took this roll of film and you would put it in a camera like this one. There was lots of 8mm cameras back in the day, and they're available everywhere now. This is my Bolex B8L, and I have the take-up spool on the wrong side. And all you would do is you would take your fresh film, put it on top. Very simple. You just run it through the gate here and onto your take-up spool. You would run it for these are 25-foot rolls. They're actually closer to 30 feet because they give you a head and a tail, or a leader and a tail leader. And you would run it, and it would expose only one half of the film going down one side. Then, would quite simply take the film out of the bottom, flip it over, put it on top. You take this reel out, flip it over because it has a 2 on this side. And then you would run it again, and then you would expose the opposite side of your film. So you would expose one side, flip it over, and then you would expose the other side. So what you would end up with is a 16mm wide roll of film that had 2 completely separate images along the edges. Something like this. And what you would do is you would send this roll of film into the lab. They would process it. They would slice the film in half. They would splice the 2 halves together, and you would end up with somewhere between 50 and 60 feet of finished film, depending on how much you actually expose loading the film. If you're careful and you load this film in complete darkness, you can get closer to 60 feet of film as opposed to the 50. And who doesn't want 10 free feet of film? So what starts as this ends up as this. Because this is exactly what I did. I shot that roll of film and then sliced it and spliced it, sliced it and spliced it, and spooled it onto an 8mm reel as opposed to a 16mm wide reel. Now whoa, settle down. I spliced it or sliced it in half lengthwise with this little device. This is made by Lomo. There are a couple of companies that made these. I believe they were all in the former Soviet era region. And this one here, it's even got a little arrow right there, and it points you. I'll try to give you some close-ups. And you would feed your film into one end and pull it out the other end, and it would slice it, hopefully, exactly in half at 2 8mm widths. This one does a really good job. I have another one that does a mediocre job. So we just use this one from now on. From there, I just scanned the film and I show it. I'm going to show it. There's one other way that this 8mm film also came, and it was in a magazine like this. There was a couple of different magazine styles. This was the most common, but they would load essentially your 25 feet of film in one side of this magazine. You would put this in a magazine camera, 8mm camera, shoot the 25 feet, pop it out, flip it over, pop it back in, and run it again the other way. There really was never a way to tell, unless you had, good memory or you marked it, whether or not you fully exposed this film or not. And the reason I say that is because there's no counters, there's no indicators anywhere on these cartridges. Your film starts on this right side, it spools over here to the left side. When that was finished, you turn it over and you pop it back in, and it's over here on the right side again, and it finishes on your left side. Now when you turn it back over and you're finished completely, your film is all back over here on the right side again, exactly where it was when you first started with fresh film. So either you had to mark it, or you just had to package it up and send it immediately, or you really didn't know if you had a fully exposed cartridge or not. I get these quite a bit for found film. I don't have a whole lot of luck with old Kodachrome II, especially with this roll film stuff. People open cameras and expose it and run a little bit, open the camera again, expose it some more. You get what we get sometimes. But this is the exact roll of film that I shot right here. And I'm going to give you a couple of things that I did. This film I was working on a customer project, and he had 2 rolls of this that were sealed, and he said, I don't want them. What should I do? Should I just toss them? And I said, well, there's not much you can do with Kodachrome II anymore, but don't toss it. If you don't mind, just send it to me and I can have some fun with it. And that's exactly what I did. This roll, I don't know how it was stored, because Kodachrome truly needs to be stored frozen its whole life if you want any chance. But it has a process before date of October of 1969. Now that's over 50 years ago. So that would probably put this film manufactured sometime in, I'm going to say, early 1968. I know some other things that were manufactured in early 1968 that came out pretty darn snazzy. So I shot it in this camera, like I said earlier, my Bolex B8L. It has a 2-lens turret. We're not going to get into a whole lot of detail on the camera. I did do a video about 3 years ago on this and the D8L as well, the 3-lens turret. I got it upside down. And what I have on here are 2 of these EVAR, or the standard Bolex lenses. I have the 36mm and the 13mm lens. Now, my 13mm lens will open up to f1.9. My 36mm lens, or my telephoto lens, opens up to f2.8. Now, 2.8 is not ideal when you're shooting old Kodachrome film. I like 1.8 or even lower, 1.4 maybe, 1. This is what I had to work with. This is what I did. Now, I sort of shot myself in the foot by shooting this at 24 frames per second. Now, I did that kind of on purpose because I truly wanted to test the film the way I like to shoot film. Now, ideally, I would have popped this onto 16 frames per second to allow a tad bit more light in. I shot it at 24 frames per second with the shutter as wide open as I could get it, the shutter angle. And I put both lenses as wide open as I possibly could. There's no reason to meter this type of film. When this 50-something-year-old film, Kodachrome II, is being used, I highly recommend you simply open your lenses as wide as they will go. And if then you can add more light, more power to you. So I took this outside on a relatively sunny day at around noon here in Central Florida, and I just filmed stuff, things. And I didn't really want to take the time to film important stuff or go somewhere that's going to capture a memory that I don't want to lose, because quite honestly, I had no idea whether this was going to turn out or not. So I took it outside. I filmed a little bit in the backyard. I filmed some while I was driving. Don't recommend that, and when my wife sees this, she's probably going to give me an earful. However, I will say when and if I ever film while I'm driving, I always do it without looking at the camera. And you can attach this little handle here too. So I drive with the camera like this, and I pay attention to the road, kids. And I do this, or I'm out the window like this. Come on, cut me some slack. It was a little road. Nothing, I didn't go on a major interstate. So what do we get? Let me show you. I know I'm going to get a comment. I do every video about how much I yak. Let me show you what I got out of this Kodachrome II right now. That's what I got. Now, I will say this. All results with Kodachrome probably are going to be a little bit different. I've developed a lot of Kodachrome in my life, and I've always processed it as a black and white negative. I've done a little bit of black and white reversal, not a big fan of the bleaching process, so I don't really do it as a reversal anymore. You probably can pull even more contrast out of it during processing as a reversal, but I don't do that. You can clearly see that everything is really dark. There's hardly any detail whatsoever. There's no shadow detail. It's super flat. My film turned out really, really dense. That's super common. I processed, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but for about 3 minutes, or exactly 3 minutes, at about 65.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I like using really cold developer when I'm using it with this old film to try my best to hold down on the fogging a little bit. I've noticed it helps a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Any little bit will help. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot you can do. You can try I don't remember the name of the chemical now, but I've used that. And although it helped a little bit with fogging, it actually took a lot of the image away as well. So I essentially just process it with my straight HC110B now, and fix it and hang it and get the rim jet off and do all that crazy stuff with it and get what we get. You did notice that when you pan towards the sky or any of the really bright areas like the roadway or wherever there, I mean, truly short of pointing the camera directly at the sun, you're not going to see a whole lot of detail. And I don't recommend pointing your camera directly at the sun either. The good news is we can see some images. So if that's what you're going for, if you're going for the grunge look, if you're shooting, I know everybody just throws all the crap footage at music videos, but if you're looking for that at a music video or concert background footage or something like that, maybe that's the route you want to take. Expect these type of results and worse if you're going to shoot Kodachrome II film. Don't ever expect better than that. If you get better than that, then you've succeeded in life. And you may very well get better than that, because every roll is a little bit different. I promise you that. I've done lots of it. I've actually gotten a little bit better result than that before, but not a lot. So I hope this little what do you call it? It's not really, it's a demo more than anything, has helped you a little bit in understanding what to expect out of Kodachrome II. It's been kind of my nemesis in my YouTube life, especially in my film life here on YouTube. I'm not a huge fan of it. I didn't really use it even when it was around in its heyday. I wasn't quite old enough. I used a lot of Kodachrome 40. With Kodachrome 40, expect a little bit better result, but it's still hit and miss. The newer the stock that you can find, the better. You see a lot of this for sale. If you see it and it says expired in the 60s, 50s, even early 70s, short of avoiding it, I wouldn't pay more than just a few dollars for it. If you're going to pay for it at all, hopefully someone can gift you some. If you enjoyed this little, just a little demonstration, you can show me. That was a double beep. By hitting that, just hit that button there, the thumbs up button. Kind of helps with the old algorithm. If you think I've earned it and you want to become part of the Filmboy24 family, have some more film fun. If you really want to have some more film fun, join us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for our live stream. We show films, we talk, we show photos sometimes. We have a really good group of people, 40 or 50 people that show up every single week. We do cancel occasionally. Something comes up in my life and we're not able to do the live stream. We do at least 30 or 35, maybe even 40 a year. So most every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Look on my community tab. I will post by Saturday whether we are having it or are not having it. And most of the time we do. It's an hour, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes long, and it's a lot of fun. And until the very next time that I see all of your stunning faces, all of them. And that means you as well. That's I'll see all of you on the very next goofy go-around.